Yo, what's up, guys? Horcrux finally back again. This time bringing you a PvP Magicka DK build. I've played pretty extensively on this build for, I don't know, 2 weeks now. DK is one of those classes that you have a lot of variety that you can do with it, but I think I finally pieced together, I won't say a min-max build, but definitely a build that works for literally every occasion, whether you want dueling, open world, or BGs. So without further ado, let's hop right into it, fellas. Uh, Character sheet. Unless you guys stare at that yourself, I'm sure you can read numbers. Notice the really low magic recoveries. I've noticed on a DK, it really doesn't matter what the fuck your recovery is, you just get everything back like all the time. We do have some cost reduction in some places, so I'll go over that in just a minute. We are a Dark Elf. I think that's the best class. Unless you're running a super high recov build, then you know that's debatable. You can probably go high elf, but as of right now, we're just running the mage. Gotta give us a little bit beefier shields because we are running shields instead of coag and all that nonsense. And we're running tri-stats. The reason we're running tri-stats is because we desperately need the stamina pool. You have to be able to roll dodge and block a lot. It's just, you know, basic with the DK class. All our points and maximum magicka. Fully buffed up. We'll do this, we'll do this, we'll do this. Here's everything fully buffed. 3k spell damage, almost 44k max without inner light. You know. Anyway, so the gear sets, pretty standard. I made this is a non-cheesy build. If you want to cheese this build up, you definitely can. I'll go over those set options here in just a moment. First set we're running is spinners. The reason I'm going as spinners, this is just applicable to everything. This is probably one of the best 5-piece sets in the game. Plus you only have to have this procced on your front bar, which frees up an armor slot. The extra 3300 spell pin is about 7.5% damage, if not 7% more damage, assuming they have the resistances to mitigate. We have a lot of CP in the spell pin, and you know we are a light armor, so we have about 20k spell pin overall. So that's why I went with the Nirnhoned trait instead of a sharpened trait or an infused trait. I'll go over those differences in just a moment, why I prefer Nirnhoned over anything else. And a weapon damage enchantment, again, I'll go over that. See, you run DK a couple different ways. Most people either run infused with like a shock enchant, or you run Nirnhoned with, you know, whatever weapon damage enchant. I found that the shock enchant just doesn't, yeah, it's a nice little bit of burst every time you rotation, but you're just missing out on so much more damage, and then the extra spell damage you get from the enchantment actually helps with your healing. You know, a lot of other bursts, you know, like your Flames of Oblivion, you know, your dots are going to tick harder, and you're trading all that way just for one little, like, 1500 proc. You know, yeah, it could proc Concuss, but we do actually have a shock enchant. It's actually on our back bar, but as of right now, this is the most consistent and reliable because it's not putting a debuff on anyone that can be purged, you know, so this is an effect for you that is intrinsic. It's not going to be purged. So this is pretty much up 100% of the time when you're going in for your burst, because in open world and BGs, you're not worried about your dots and shit. You're worried about that quick burst. That's all you're concerned with, because the dots are going to get cleansed, all that shitty titty, you know, whatever, all that's going to get cleansed. So you have to have a high burst in order to kill anything. Next piece we're running a Maelstrom's Restoration Staff, the shock enchantment. Alternatively, instead of running defending, you could run infuse, which is probably what I would suggest. Just at the time of recording this, I did not have the stones to change it. There's definitely, you know, pros and cons, you know, each. So defending gives you that amount of spell pin. It equates to about 5% more damage, you know, on your back bar. You know, if you're turtling a lot, which you should not be doing on a DK, mind you. So when you start turtling on DK, that's when you really start having issues. Unless you're running Sword Board, which is clearly not a Sword Board build. This is a super aggressive Destro Resto build. You cannot get any more aggressive than this. You just can't. But yeah, Maelstrom Destro. Alternatively, you could run a Willpower Restoration Staff, either infused or defending, doesn't matter. Either run a shock enchantment, or if you're struggling with sustain, you can run a Magicka Absorb enchantment as well. Just depends, you know, when you play style. I have like 3,000 hours worth of experience on Magicka classes, so naturally I'm pretty good at maintaining my Magicka. But you know, if you're new to the DK or just picking up, you know, a Magic class for the first time, it may not be as easy. So we'll go over some of the changes that you can make to this build in a moment. We're just running 2 stats. Running Dommy House, you know, all in pin gives the max magic and stamina, and Lambris. Alternatively, if you want to go with a more traditional DK build, you can run Scoria. All in pin if you can. The other set I would suggest, which is pretty viable, if you want to run Vampire. We're not Vampire in this build. It's actually surprisingly a lot amount of DKs. And Dawnbreaker. Let me tell you about fucking Dawnbreaker spin to win. If you are a Vampire and you get hit with a Subterranean Assault, Donnie, you're dead. You're just dead. Your Donnie's gonna hit you for like 8 or 9k, and then you're just fucking out of there. So I opt out of the Vampire spec. Yeah, you do lose your slot to Elusive Mist, but if you wanted to run that, I would suggest running, you know, when we go over the skills, running exactly what I'm running now, but instead of our armor buff, I would suggest for your 2-piece you run something like Chudons. You know, that makes you more tanky, gives you health, gives you your class armor buff without actually having to have it slotted. So with that being said, you will actually have a spare slot on your back bar to put Elusive Mist if you did opt for Vampire. I don't really recommend it. Our health pool isn't really that high to benefit from the Undeath passive in the first place. You could argue that you could run Vampire Stage 2, but for me, that's just too much maintenance. Always having to have Stage 2, and every time you activate Elusive Mist, will go up to like 3 and 4, so that's annoying. Last but not least is the Sun. You can either run this or Burning Spellweave. The reason I'm going with Sun is because it does give you the health, and it 100% of the time, you know, gives you your permanent spell damage, your flame abilities. Whereas the Burning Spellweave, you know, you kind of got to proc it. You don't always have that up when you need it. You know, DK, like, we're running a Leap build. We're not running Meteor, we're just running Leap because you have to have that burst, you know, instantaneously. You see someone low, leap them, delete them, get them out. So that's why we're running this over Burning Spellweave. Again, Burning Spellweave will help you with your heals, but we're running, you know, pretty good hots on our, you know, healing over time on our DK. One thing I did forget to mention, my buddy Cutsy, I've been running duos with quite a while, has the Maelstrom Staff from the new, I guess, dungeon / trials, I don't know what you want to call it, but it adds a healing buff to whoever has a healing ward on. So if you have that, I would definitely run that on this build because we're running healing ward. If you're running in duos, which I suggest on this build, this is pretty much, you know, one other partner besides you build. You can run this solo, but I'll go over how to run this solo, you know, in just a moment. But the other ward ally, actually gives you 2 wards, and that ward actually applies that healing buff to both of you. So that's pretty good, you know, synergy there. If you have the staff, I have yet to run it. I don't think it's hard to get. You can get it from normal. You don't necessarily need the perfected one. It just gives you some regen, I think. But since it's only 1 bar anyway, it's whatever. Just run on normal. Make it easy on yourself. On our jewelry, since I have a lot of experience on Magicka classes, I'm running 2 spell damage, 1 reduced cost. 1 reduced cost is absolutely necessary. You just have to have it. The other 2, however, if you're struggling with sustain, naturally make these recov. You're not losing out on a whole lot of damage. So, you know, with that being said, you know, if you're super struggling with regen, we have Ellie Drain to help with that. We have a lot of reduced costs. You know, our CP helps with it. But if you are struggling, switch these to regen. Don't do 2 or more reduced costs because there's a diminishing return on them. It's pretty heavy. So, there's that. Also, if you're struggling with sustain, swap your Mundus to the Atro. That should help out with it. I would not suggest using Witch Mothers because you do have to have a high stamina pool. So, now to the good shit. This is our front bar. Running Destro Staff, running Ellie Drain. This gives us our Destro passives as well as our Magicka Steel and debuff to their resistances. This equates to about 10% worth of damage. That's a shit ton of magic recovery. Keep this up. The first thing you do is when you go into a fight, dot as many people up you can with this. Like 1, 2, 3, whatever. Try to keep this up, because once this starts falling off, and that's when you start struggling with sustain like really bad. Next is Fossilized is an absolute must. I would not suggest running the meatball that you throw. It can be reflected, it can be dodged. I mean, this is a really good deal with those roly-poly olies. Fucking stamina blades are super annoying. Flames of Oblivion. This gives us our crit, plus this gives us a little extra burst. If you do decide to run Scoria, I would suggest timing this with your Scoria procs. This is a 15-second buff to you. Every 5 seconds, this will proc and hit the nearest person around you. So try to synergize that with your Scoria and your Leap, and that's a lot of damage coming out. Completely unbuffed, it's 8k. I think this does dip into Thaumaturge, which is technically a dot. So if you want to boost this up a little bit, throw some points at Thaumaturge. Flame Lash, unbuffed, it's almost 11k. Fully buffed, I mean, this thing can hit pretty hard. 11.3k. This could go up with like Inner Light or something like that, but we're not too concerned with that. Alright, Burning Embers. I suggest having this on your front bar. You need to keep this up as much as possible. This is a super bursty heal. It's a huge dot. Always have this up. When you don't have this up, you're going to get fucked real quick. That I've learned real quick. Last ability here is Leap. It's super cheap, shit ton of damage, gives you a shield, gap closer. There's nothing better. Just don't run Meteor. Just run Leap. Trust me on this one. Back bar. We'll go over back bar a little bit. Dueling setup's gonna be a little bit different, but in general, running Healing Ward, unless you're in duos, queuing with a duo partner or whatever, then I would probably run Ward Ally. You're not using the ward for the heal. That's not its intention. It's essentially just to protect whoever. And the heal would be nice, kind of in between fights. But more than likely, the shield, when it pops, it's not going to pop for a lot. So try not to use this unless you absolutely fucking have to. Using Harness, I tried Dampen, with a high recut build. That little extra 10% shield is irrelevant, really. So just run Harness. This will help you with your sustain against any magic class. If one Magicka class hops on you and you have Harness, you're going to infinitely sustain through whatever that fight is. Now, I don't care if there's 5, 6 people on you, if they're all spinning to winning, you're popping your wings, whatever. As long as there's one Magicka class hitting you, you're fine. For duels, actually, for open world and BGs, I would swap a rapid regen out with wings. It's just too good of an ability. It's a little pricey, but you do get the reflect, plus you get the immobilization immunity, which is good because on DK you're very immobile. Unless you opt into vampirism, you have elusive mist. That's different. But for this build that I've spent countless hours, I guarantee I've spent a good 24 hours straight playing this class and playing around with all the builds, but this is what I would definitely go with. Rapid Regen pairs great with the Maelstrom Resto if you have it. This gives you even more regen. You can read it there, pause, you can do what you gotta do. But essentially, this is equivalent to 400 Magicka recovery. Plus, it's a really good heal over time. Ring Volatile Armor. This is our class spell resistance buff. Plus, when people hit you, they take damage. Engulfing Flames. In duels, run Engulfing. This is what you want. Like, if you don't have Engulfing, you might be doing something wrong. In this is kind of a flex spot, really. If you're wanting to run the Rapid Regen and Maelstrom Resto, keep all this and then just swap your Engulfing out with Reflective Plate, which is your wings. That pretty much covers all your bases. Now, you do have to be choosy where you take your fights. Like, you have to be able to kite around. Wings helps you do that. If you get caught out in the open field, odds are you're going to be fucked. So just be mindful of where you engage people. If you want to run this, as a solo build, I would definitely suggest more into recovery, but if you're in with a duo partner or whatever, I mean, this is perfectly fine. Last ultimate, you can choose 2 of ultimates here. I'm using Light's Champion just because when you see 2 or 3 fucking Stamdens hitting their bugs into the fucking ground and they're popping their move speed pots and they're running at you, you know the burst is coming. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can hold block all you want, you're just going to get leveled. It's shitty, that's the way the meta is. So if you see that happening, Light's Champion will let you live through that. And not only does it let you live through that, but it gives you a chance for counterplay. Because once they come in and blow their load, that's it. That class is fucking done. They have to wait like 20, 25 seconds to get the roll back. And during that time, that's when you pressure and kill them. So if you see that shit coming in, if you're running duo partners, this is what you want on your bar. As a precautionary measure to mitigate and completely cancel out all that damage, so you and whoever you're running with, or even just yourself, will fucking live, and you're not having to respawn at a keep or at a spawn point in BGs, whatever. But that's why I have this here. Alternatively, you could run the Sigic Order skill line. Do I have it unlocked here? I don't know if I do on this character or not. No, I do not. But essentially, the way the skill line works is you spend like fucking 4 hours leveling it up. You'll get an ultimate called Temporal Guard. You put that on your back bar. That gives you 8% mitigation on your back bar passively. That's all that does. I would only use that for duels. But open world BGs, Light's Champion is the way to go. One of the perks of running your resto staff. That does it for the skills. One thing I do want to go over with you guys is kind of like the rotation to where, how you want to burst people. Okay, so obviously you have your Ellie Drain up. You're going to have your Flames of Oblivion up. I like to apply my damage buff, my armor buff when I'm near people. This puts a dot on them, you see? Then, Engulfing, Burning Embers, Whip Whip. Is kind of like the rotation you want to do. The best rotation I can give you guys is, of course, have your Flames of Oblivion up, with the Ellie Drain. Armor buff, of course. So when you'll fossilize here, okay? You'll be fossilizing. While they're fossilized, you'll want to Burning Embers. That's a gimme. That's always going to be on them. Right after you apply the Burning Embers, if you don't already have your Ellie Drain applied, apply Ellie Drain. If it's already applied, immediately swap to your back bar, and either, depending on whether you have your buffs up, either Volatile Armor or Engulfing, or, if you don't have Engulfing, use, Wings, whatever. The reason I say to do it in this order is because when you fossilize people, and then you Burning Embers them, people's reaction is to roll dodge. And depending on, kind of where they're at, if you kind of predict where they're going to roll dodge too. And since Engulfing is an AoE, you're going to hit them anyway. Engulfing is an incredibly hard skill to hit, surprisingly. You'll think it hits, and it just doesn't. Like, hold on. See, for example. See, it doesn't hit at all when you do shit like that. Okay, that one hit, but it just doesn't hit at all. So that's kind of annoying. So it's a cone at the moment you cast it, not during the whole animation of it. But yeah, so Fossilized, Burning Embers, Engulfing. Just like that. You're on your front bar, your animation cancel. That's all you need. And like I said, your burst times it with your Flames of Oblivion and a score you proc if you decide to. And that's pretty much the DK. Keep your buffs up. Volatile. Engulfing. Boom. Whip. Whip. Then just go back. Ward. Apply your buffs. Boom. Boom, boom, fossilize, whip, whip, apply Flames of Oblivion. Just keep your buffs up. That's essentially, what I'm trying to tell you guys. Your buffs start falling off, your Burning Embers falls off, you're fucked. Alright, so enough of that. We're going to the CP tree. Pretty standard. We'll go with the blue tree first. It's important. I'll just let you guys look at it here. This helps with your healing. You need spell pin. All your shit's single target, essentially. Besides your dots, you have to have the single target damage. You just have to. 66 Master Arms. Some value points into the dots. This helps with flames, which helps with your burst. 56, 39. And I apologize to all my other videos. Yes, you guys are correct about wasting CP points. I did I don't know, pretty much all my videos under the assumption as long as you hit like a threshold of like 19.000%, it'll give you the 19%. That's not true at all. You have to have at least a smidget over that threshold. Otherwise, it just rounds it down. This game is stupid like that, so I do apologize in my other videos about them saying it's been absolutely min-maxed. There's some champion points, as you guys pointed out, that was not properly allocated. So 39 resistant. 37, 37, 26 is pretty standard. Wouldn't change too much here. Red tree is just, you know, is what it is. Sprinter, you actually do run a lot, especially in BGs and open world. You know, sometimes you need to keep up with people. You can run something like Searing Chains, which will give you major expedition, which kind of help you chase down on gap close. It's entirely up to you though, just depending on what kind of play style that you want to play. Warlord is break free, 1 in a Siphoner. This is just to apply a debuff, just so the Brain Dead Templars will spam and cleanse it. 37 Arcanus, 19 on Tenacity. Super low recov. You don't need the recov, guys, I swear to you. As long as you keep LA Drain up, and if you're running a Maelstrom Staff, you keep Rapid Regen up, and you're not constantly like spamming wings like every 2 seconds, then you're not going to run into any sustain issues, I assure you. Just keep belly drain up is all I'm saying. That's your number 1 priority. Shadow Ward, Tumbling. That's pretty much it, guys. I will be uploading, I'm not sure if I'm going to tag it along in this video, or I'm going to make a separate video, but I'm going to have a shit ton of DK gameplay from BGs, open world duels, and it's all running, most of it's running Scoria as a monster set, but I'll also include clips of running Chudon and just the 2 stat pieces as well. If there's any variations in the build, I'll gladly mention them in the comments or whatever. But I hope you guys like the video. This is I've not lost to many people at all in duels. The only classes I've lost to is a really good Stamplar. And as far as Magicka builds, you're just gonna destroy everyone. Like if you're against a Magicka build, you're golden. Like stamina builds, unless the only stamina builds you're gonna have an issue with are the ones who can obviously cleanse your LE drain, or the ones who go stealth like every 1.5 seconds. That's annoying because you're trying to use your volatile armor to pull them out of stealth, or you're engulfing and you just miss, and it's a big shit show. You're out of magic. That sucks. But that's the build, guys. Don't think there's anything else I'm missing. Yeah, so we don't have like a spell damage buff on our back bar. We get that through our potions that we're using, which are just the trash alliance pots, which give you your major sorcery buff and your regen. If you wanted to put your class armor or entropy or something on your back bar, definitely run tri-stats. That's good. Or run immovability, entirely up to you guys. But that's the build. Hopefully I kept it nice, short, and sweet. If I fucked up on anything or I need to clarify some things, please let me know in the comments. Let me know what classes you guys want me to go over. I have a Magicka Nightblade build I'm working on. I realize I don't really upload a lot of gameplay, and that's just because I'm in a big move transition. I don't have the best internet right now. I wish I could stream, but my webcam's fucked up on the Xbox, so I need to order a new one. Hell, if I stay on console, I might as well get an Elgato cap card instead of using the whole shitty titty OBS Xbox app thing. But that's where it is with everything, guys. I may go on like a rant in the next video, just the state of things in ESO. But that does it for the build, guys, and I will catch you in the next one. Toodaloo.